The road to Holleridge was winding, flanked by endless stretches of pine and the occasional glimpse of a forgotten barn. The sun was setting fast, spilling orange streaks across the windshield as a car curved around the final bend. Inside the packed SUV, laughter bounced between the seats. Zoe, seated behind the driver, had her feet on the cooler, scrolling through playlists. Marcus, ever the planner, was at the wheel with both hands gripping the steering wheel a little too tightly. Beside him, Jaden was filming everything on his GoPro, narrating like some kind of low-budget travel vlogger. And in the far back, Tara cradled a box of old books like a protective parent. "This is gonna be amazing," Zoe grinned, brushing her jet-black hair behind one A. A full month of no school, no bosses, no traffic, just peace, woods, and this big old house. "More like a cabin," Tara corrected, not looking up. "More like a mansion," Jaden countered, flipping the camera toward himself. According to the Airbnb listing, it has 6 bedrooms, a lake view, and a library with a ladder. Marcus sighed. "Let's just make sure the plumbing works before you start filming a Netflix series, man." They reached the gate just as the sun dipped behind the trees. The house stood alone at the end of a gravel driveway, flanked by crooked trees that bent toward the building as if trying to whisper secrets through the windows. It wasn't just old. It was watching. The front door creaked open with the slightest push. Inside, the air was colder than it should have been for early summer. Dust motes danced in the fading light that filtered through tall, narrow windows. The layout was sprawling, hallways that curved too long, doors too numerous to count, ceilings that felt too high in some places, too low in others. There was something off about the geometry of the place. "Guys, is it me?" Zoe whispered. "Or does this place feel hollow?" Marcus shook his head. "Don't start, Zoe." But they all felt it. The silence had weight, like something had been waiting. They unpacked quickly, choosing rooms without much discussion. Jaden took the attic, joking he'd get the best view. Tara chose the downstairs room nearest the back patio. Marcus went for the room next to the library. Zoe claimed the one at the top of the stairs, second floor, with a large bay window. That night, over takeout pizza and red wine, they toasted the start of their stay. It felt almost normal, like any group of friends on a spontaneous getaway. But the first sign came at 3:12 a.m. Marcus jolted awake to a sound. Not a bang, not a scream. It was breathing, not his own. Deep, labored, close. He sat up in the dark, heart pounding. The breathing stopped. For a moment, he thought he'd imagined it. Then his bedroom door creaked open, slowly, inch by inch. "Jaden," he whispered. No answer. He flicked on the lamp. Nothing. The hallway beyond the door was empty. By morning, everyone looked a little off. Zoe had dark circles under her eyes. Tara was staring into her coffee like it held answers. Jaden said nothing, just kept the GoPro close. No one slept well. "Huh?" Marcus asked, trying to lighten the mood. "There was someone pacing outside my door," Zoe whispered. "I thought it was one of you." But the footsteps, they didn't walk away. They just stopped. Then nothing. Jaden finally spoke. "The attic door locked from the outside. I tried to open it this morning. Took 10 minutes. Probably a faulty latch," Marcus reasoned. "Old place. Weird architecture. Drafts." But Tara shook her head. "I tried to open the patio door this morning to get some fresh air. It wouldn't budge, like it was welded shut. That afternoon, they all tried every door and window. Nothing opened, not even the front door." Zoe climbed to the second-floor balcony and tried to shout for help, but the woods swallowed her voice. The cell phones had no signal, not even static. They told themselves it was just a tech glitch, a quirk of an old house. Temporary. That night, they agreed to sleep in the same room, the library. It felt safer somehow, among the towering books and old wood. They dragged blankets and mattresses, made a fort like kids at a sleepover. They even laughed a little, pretending none of it was scary. But once the lights were out, the house spoke. Books began to fall from the shelves. One by one. Not random. Certain books. Thick, leather-bound volumes with no titles. Inside, pages were filled with names. Theirs. Each name was followed by dates. Future dates. What is this? Tara whispered, clutching a book with her name on the front page. The dates. They're all this week, Marcus said, flipping through one mark with his own name. Suddenly, the door slammed shut. Not just shut, sealed. They ran to it, pulled, screamed. Nothing. Then the whispers began. All around them. In the walls. Under the floorboards. Above their heads. It's watching. It's waiting. You moved in. You don't leave. Jaden threw the GoPro at the wall. It shattered. The whispers stopped. Then a deep, guttural voice echoed from the rafters. One of you doesn't belong. They froze. What does that mean? Zoe said, her voice cracking. No answer. Just the soft thud of a book dropping behind them. It was open to Tara's name. The date, tomorrow. The night passed without sleep. Each of them took turns watching the hallway through the crack beneath the library door, half expecting it to crawl open or vanish entirely. When the morning sun finally painted golden lines across the library floor, it brought no comfort, only a ticking clock in their minds. Tara didn't speak much. She sat in a corner, legs pulled to her chest, staring at a book that spelled out her name and the ominous date, June 13th, today. We're getting out of here, Marcus said firmly. We're not going to sit around and wait to see what happens. Jaden rummaged through the broken GoPro and pulled out the memory card. We need proof. If we make it out, we show someone. This house, it's not natural. Zoe was quiet. Her usual sass was gone. We need to figure out what it wants. This place, it's feeding on something. Marcus kicked the library door. This time, it opened. No groaning hinges, no resistance. As if the house had simply decided to let them go. The hallway was bathed in morning light, but it was distorted, like the colors were muted. Everything felt too still, too clean. The house had changed. They spread out cautiously. Zoe checked the kitchen, appliances sparkling, fridge fully stocked, but every food label was blank. No brands, no expiration dates, just smooth white paper. She opened a carton of milk. It was thick and red. In the basement, Jaden found rows of wooden mannequins stacked against the walls. They had no faces, no limbs, just torsos carved with faint names. At least 3 of them bore initials that didn't match any of theirs. He backed away, heart pounding. Upstairs, Marcus found a room that hadn't been there yesterday, a child's nursery. It was filled with dusty toys and a rocking horse that moved slowly on its own. On the crib's pillow was a locket. Inside it was a picture of a woman with hollow eyes and Tara's face. He ran back downstairs. Tara, he said, out of breath, do you have family here? Did your mom ever mention Holleridge? No, she said, startled. Why? He hesitated. There's a picture of someone who looks like you, exactly like you, in a nursery upstairs. Tara frowned. My birth records say I was adopted, but I never found anything. My mom always avoided the topic. The house moaned then, deep, long, like something waking up beneath the floorboards. They all gathered in the foyer. It was now 3:07 p.m. Guys, Zoe said, pointing at the staircase. Look. At the top of the stairs stood a door they hadn't noticed before. Blood red, small, child-sized. It opened slowly with a creak. Tara's name echoed faintly down the hall. No, she whispered. No, I'm not going in there. But the house wasn't asking. The door behind them slammed shut. Walls groaned inward. The temperature dropped. Go together, Marcus insisted. They climbed the stairs slowly, each step feeling like it stretched a little longer than the last. When they reached the red door, it swung wide open to reveal a staircase that spiraled downward, despite being on the second floor. The steps were made of bone. Tara, you don't have to, Zoe began, but Tara had already stepped through. Something was calling her. The others followed. Down they went, the light above fading into choking darkness. When they reached the bottom, they were in a room made of mirrors. Every wall, every surface reflected their bodies, but the reflections didn't move in sync. Some were faster, some delayed, some different. Tara stepped forward. The mirrors showed her as a little girl in a white dress, standing beside the woman from the locket. The woman's eyes were bleeding. She whispered something into Tara's reflection's ear. Zoe gasped. She said, "You were supposed to stay." Tara's knees buckled. This place, this house, it knew me. I think I was born here. Or taken from here. Suddenly, the floor shook. One mirror cracked, then another, a low hum built into a scream. The glass shattered in a storm of shards, revealing a door behind one of the mirrors. Black, iron, rusted. The door swung open. Beyond it was a stone altar. Candles floated mid-air, flickering with blue fire. Carved on the altar was Tara's name. Beneath it, the return. Tara backed away. "No, I'm not part of this. I'm not your sacrifice." The house responded with a gust of wind that slammed her against the wall. A disembodied voice, raspy, feminine, spoke in their minds. Blood abandoned must be reclaimed. She is the first. The house remembers. Jaden lunged forward and grabbed Tara's hand. "We're leaving. All of us." He pulled her away from the altar. Marcus kicked over one of the candles. It splattered blue flame across the floor, igniting the stone itself. The house screamed. They ran, back up the bony staircase, through the cracked mirrors, through the red door, now pulsing like a heartbeat. The house convulsed around them, doors slamming, floors buckling, paintings twisting into distorted faces. Back in the library, they caught their breath. "Tara," Zoe said, kneeling beside her, "whatever this thing is, it wants you because of your past. But we're not giving you up." Tara trembled. "It's in my blood. It knows me. That altar, it was waiting for me." Marcus opened the book again. The page with Tara's name had changed. The date had been scratched out, burned. Below it, a new name appeared. Jaden, June 14th. His face went pale. What does that mean?" he whispered. The house gave no answer. But far above them, in the attic where Jaden had slept the first night, a soft light flickered on. Silence hung like smoke after Jaden's name burned itself into the book. Tara's breath hitched. Zoe backed away, as if something might leap from the page. Marcus didn't move at all, his eyes fixed on the date, June 14th, tomorrow. Jaden stared at it for a long time before finally muttering, "This place wants us one by one. We're on some kind of schedule." Zoe clenched her jaw. "No, I'm not watching this house take you. Two. We fight this." "But how?" Tara asked. "It knows us. It knows more than we do. I don't even remember being born here, yet it remembers everything about me. This place is alive." They all felt it, like the walls were leaning in, eavesdropping. Jaden wiped sweat from his brow and stood. "There's something in the attic." The light flicked on when my name appeared. "If this thing is targeting me now, maybe that's where the next piece of the puzzle is." "I'm going with you," Marcus said. Zoe nodded. "All of us go. No more splitting up." The stairs groaned as they climbed to the attic. The trapdoor was cracked open, faint light seeping through like a beacon, or warning. Jaden was the first to ascend. The others followed close behind, the wooden ladder rattling under their weight. At the top, the attic looked different than before. The walls were covered in old photographs, sepia-toned images, some blurry, some grotesquely clear. Children, adults, all staring blankly. Each photo had a name etched beneath it. They found 4 portraits mounted side by side on a wall. Newly printed. Clean. Fresh ink. Tara. Jaden. Marcus. Zoe. Next to each, a red line. Tara's line was smudged with black ash. Jaden's was glowing faintly. "Why us?" Marcus murmured. Zoe noticed something else. Scratches on the floor beneath the old trunk in the corner. Together, they slid it aside, revealing a small hatch. Underneath, a spiral staircase leading down. "Another one," Jaden said. "How deep is this house?" They descended slowly into a chamber that felt more like a crypt than a basement. The walls were lined with masks, wooden, hand-carved, contorted in silent screams. In the center was a table, and on it, a journal bound in skin. Marcus reached for it but recoiled the moment he touched it. Images flashed through his mind like stabs of lightning. Ritual circles, bodies writhing, a child crying, an old man whispering in a forgotten tongue. Jaden opened it. Inside were sketches of the house in different eras, always alone, always in the woods. Sometimes a cottage, sometimes a mansion, always shifting. The journal spoke of a ritual called the inheritance. The house finds blood. The house feeds. The house chooses who stays and who forgets. Then another line. One must stay. One must serve. One must forget. One must be erased. 4 friends. 4 fates. They exchanged looks. The house had chosen roles. But who was what? Serve. Zoe asked. Forget? Erase. Tara's voice broke the silence. One of us doesn't leave. Not because the house kills us, but because it makes us part of it. The words chilled them more than any scream. A loud thud echoed above them, back in the attic. Then came the sound of footsteps. Heavy, dragging. Something was walking upstairs. They bolted back up the stairs, bursting into the attic, and froze. A figure stood across the room, human-shaped, but tall, impossibly thin. Its arms hung to its knees, its head tilted at an unnatural angle. Where its face should have been was a stretched sheet of flesh, smooth and blank, like a canvas waiting to be painted. It turned toward Jaden. Then it whispered, though its mouth didn't move. You are next. The house will paint you in. Jaden stumbled backward, knocking over a chair. The thing lunged forward, soundless but fast. Marcus grabbed a nearby lamp and swung, smashing it into the figure's side. It shrieked, retreating into the shadows. Go, he yelled. They ran, down the attic steps, through the hall, back to the library. The moment they crossed the threshold, the doors slammed shut behind them. The lights flickered. Then, silence. Zoe pulled Jaden into a tight embrace. What the hell was that? The house's collector, Tara said softly. It marks the next one, hunts them, fills the house with them. They turned toward the wall. Jaden's portrait had changed. His eyes were gone, just black smears. His face looked drained. Dead. Tomorrow, that thing's coming back, Jaden whispered. Unless we stop it. Tara opened the book again. The names. The order. She noticed something new. Each name had a symbol beside it. Tara's had been an eye. Jaden's, a mouth. Zoe's, a heart. Marcus, a flame. What if these aren't just marks? Tara asked, what if they mean something? Like the way we're meant to be taken or used? Zoe was pacing now. Then we need to break the pattern. End the ritual. But how? Marcus asked. We can't leave. The doors won't open. The house won't let us. It wants this. Jaden was quiet. Then he stood. We need to give the house what it doesn't expect. They all looked at him. I'm next. I go where it wants me to go. But not alone. Absolutely not, Zoe snapped. I'll go with him, Marcus said. If we don't understand what it's doing, we'll just keep hiding in rooms until it picks us off one by one. Tara added, then we go together. Again, always together. If it splits us, it wins. That night, they prepared. Flashlights, the journal, a crowbar Marcus found in the shed. Every light in the library stayed on. But still, the shadows danced. At midnight, a whisper passed through the walls. Come to the mirror hole. The attic was empty now, but the mirror door was back, waiting, open. They stepped through together. Inside, the mirror room was larger now. Dozens of them lined the space. Every mirror showed a version of themselves, older, younger, twisted, scared. One mirror in the center shimmered. It showed Jaden, alone, standing on the altar. Then the altar lit up in real time. A voice echoed. Offer accepted. The canvas will be filled. A black smoke poured from the mirror, and the collector returned, this time faster, more solid. Its hands outstretched. Jaden held out the journal. Not today. He threw it into the mirror. The smoke twisted, recoiled. The mirrors shattered again. Tara screamed, grabbing Zoe. Marcus pulled Jaden back. The collector roared, a guttural, furious cry. Then it vanished. So did the room. They were back in the attic, as if none of it had happened. Jaden looked at the wall. His portrait was still there, but his eyes had returned. A new line appeared in the book. Reversal attempted. Fate delayed. Then the next name burned into the page. Zoe, June 15th. The walls breathed with them. That's the only way Zoe could describe it. The second her name appeared in the book, ZOE, June 15th, the entire house seemed to shift. It wasn't just watching anymore. It was craving. She could feel its attention like cold hands brushing the back of her neck. I'm not dying tomorrow, Zoe said, pacing the library. I don't care what that thing wrote. I'm not ending up on that wall. We won't let that happen, Marcus said, but his voice was thinner than usual. They were all unraveling now, each pulled tighter and tighter by the threads of fate the house had strung for them. Tara flipped back through the journal. Each time we interfere with a ritual, something changes. When we stopped Jaden's fate, it didn't skip, it recalculated, like the house is adjusting its rules. So maybe it's not all-powerful, Marcus said. Maybe it has limits. Or worse, Jaden murmured. Maybe it wants us to resist. Maybe that's part of the game. Zoe shook her head. I'm not going to play. But that night, the house had other plans. As the clock hit midnight, Zoe's ears began to ring. Softly at first, then sharp, piercing, like a scream buried in static. She clutched her temples and dropped to her knees. From every wall, every corner, the whispers began again. We love you, Zoe. Come closer. Let us show you. She bolted upright, gasping. The others ran to her side, but she held up a hand. No, I have to follow it, she said, her voice hollow. It's calling me. I think I can hear where it lives. What? Tara asked. No, you don't go alone. I'm not afraid, Zoe whispered. Not anymore. She stood, and without another word, began walking. The others followed in stunned silence, unsure whether they were protecting her or being led into another trap. The house guided them like a conductor. Doors that had always been locked swung open. Hallways they had never seen twisted into view. At the end of one such corridor, they found a room with no number. Just a door, tall, black, humming. Zoe placed her hand on the doorknob. Whatever's behind here, she said, it wants me, but I think I need to see it before it sees me. She turned the knob. Inside was a child's room. Perfect. Frozen in time. A toy chest. A rocking chair. A mobile above the crib spun lazily, though no air stayed it. On the walls, finger paintings. Stick figures holding hands. One of the drawings showed 4 people entering a big house and 3 stick figures crying while one waved from a window. Zoe stepped inside. This was mine. What? Marcus asked. Zoe blinked as memories surged into her like floodwater breaching a dam. I lived here once, she said. Not just visited. I belonged to this house. I think it raised me. She touched the wall. The paint shimmered under her fingers. I was left here. All stolen. I don't know. But it loved me. It cared for me like a mother. Tara stepped forward. Zoe, no, that's a house manipulating you. No, Zoe said calmly. You don't understand. The others, us, we were chosen because we forgot. But I didn't just forget. I left. I betrayed it. Suddenly, the crib rattled violently. The mobile spun faster and faster until the toys melted into shadow. A low voice growled from the walls. You promised to stay. The shadows reached out from the corners of the room, long fingers, clawing the air. Jaden grabbed Zoe's arm. We're leaving. Now. The shadow fingers lashed out. One grazed Zoe's shoulder, and she screamed as a welt opened on her skin. They ran, down hallways that shifted behind them. Doors closed mid-step. The lights flickered and groaned as if screaming with them. They burst back into the main hall, panting. Zoe's shoulder bled through her shirt, the mark oddly shaped, like a handprint. We have to stop this, Marcus gasped. We can't keep running. Tara nodded, eyes wide. I think I know what we need to do. She held up the journal. One must stay. One must serve. One must forget. One must be erased. Those aren't just roles. They are bargains. They are prices the house demands. Zoe's hands trembled. I think I was meant to stay. I broke that deal. And now the house is collecting interest, Jaden said. Marcus stood. What if we make a new deal? Rewrite the ritual. Zoe looked to him. How? By giving the house what it doesn't want. Something it didn't expect. A new story. They gathered supplies, salt from the kitchen, candles, ink, chalk, and a journal. They returned to the mirror room, still cracked, damaged from the earlier fight. In the center, they drew a ritual circle. Not summoning, but binding. They placed their names in the center, wrote them in blood. Beneath each name, they added a phrase. Tara, the one who remembers. Jaden, the one who sees. Marcus, the one who burns. Zoe, the one who left. The house hated that last line. The walls groaned. The mirrors flickered. The collector appeared, face now split with rage. You do not decide. The shadows surged again, but Marcus stepped forward with a crowbar wrapped in salt-soaked cloth. You want a servant, he yelled. Serve this. He swung, shattering the largest mirror. The collector shrieked, but from inside the broken frame, another form emerged. A little girl. She looked like Zoe, and she was crying. Zoe stepped forward. That's me, she said softly. That's who I used to be. She reached out and took the girl's hand. I remember you. I remember the lullabies, the stories you whispered in the floorboards. You loved me, but I was a child. I had to grow up, and I'm sorry. The collector paused, confused, unsteady. Zoe turned to the house. I came back. I remembered. I faced you, but now I choose. She stepped into the center of the circle. I will stay, she said, but not as a prisoner. As the one who watches a door. The shadows stopped. A pulse of light spread through the room. The house paused. Then the mirrors melted. The collector vanished like smoke caught in a draft. And for the first time since they moved in, the front door creaked open. Zoe looked back at the others. You have to go. Now. Marcus tried to argue. No, we leave together. But Zoe was already fading. I broke the contract. I have to fix it. This is the only way. If I stay, the rest of you live. Tara's eyes welled with tears. Zoe, tell the world what this place does. Make sure no one else comes here. The last thing they saw was Zoe smiling. And then she was gone. The door swung wide. Light poured in. They didn't look back. As Marcus, Tara, and Jaden stepped out onto the overgrown front lawn, the door behind them creaked shut with finality that felt like thunder. Not a slam, not a violent close, just a breath, exhaled. The house seemed to exhale with it. For a long moment, the three of them stood on the gravel path, staring at a facade they had entered so naively just weeks ago. It didn't look sinister anymore. No cracked windows, no shifting walls, no dark aura. Just an old house, a memory wrapped in wood and whisper. Is it over? Jaden asked, his voice barely audible. Tara shook her head. No, we're just out. That's not the same as over. Zoe was still inside. That fact hovered above them like a cloud too heavy to rain. The next few days blurred. They got in their car, drove until the GPS made sense again. No one spoke on the way back to the city, but the silence between them wasn't empty. It was thick with guilt, confusion, grief, and a lingering scent of ash and old wood. They reported what had happened, or tried to. The police found nothing unusual. No blood, no journals, no basement with mirrors, no door that couldn't be opened. The house was gone. Not physically. It still stood, but whatever had lived within it had closed its eyes. For now, no one believed them. They were labeled trespassers, vandals, liars. Tara's footage? Wiped. Hard drives fried from the inside out. Marcus tried to retrieve fragments of the ritual journal from memory, but the words slipped away like water through clenched fists. The house hadn't just locked Zoe inside. It had sealed the truth. But something had changed in them. Tara started writing again. She no longer needed proof. She had the truth, buried beneath her skin like splinters. She wrote about houses that breathe, doors that demand sacrifices, and a girl who stayed behind so the others could walk free. Her first short story was titled The One Who Watches a Door. Jaden left his tech job and started a nonprofit focused on architectural anomalies, dangerous spaces, he called them. Not haunted houses, but predatory structures. He said they needed to be mapped, tracked, understood. He worked like a man trying to outrun the dark. Marcus disappeared for a while. No one knew where he went, but when he came back, he had burn marks on his arms and a strange calm behind his eyes. He never spoke about Zoe, but every June 15th, he sat outside the house on Willow Lane from dusk till dawn, whispering her name, just in case she ever answered back. And then, something did happen. 1 year later, on June 15th, the house door opened again. Not for them, for a girl named Lydia who had never heard the stories. She was just looking for cheap rent and a quiet place to paint. The listing said, charming home, vintage style, great condition, all utilities included. She signed the lease, and on the first night, the house whispered her name. The cycle had begun again. Only this time, someone was watching. Beneath the floorboards of the house, behind the mirrors that never broke the same way twice, in a place not quite the attic and not quite the basement. Zoe sat cross-legged, eyes closed. She didn't age. She didn't sleep. She didn't eat. But she remembered. She remembered what it had been like to belong to the house. The safety, the warmth of its attention. And she remembered the cost. She was part of it now. Not its prisoner. Not its servant. Its keeper. And when Lydia walked through the front door, Zoe felt it. The pulse. The hunger. She stood and whispered, just loud enough for the shadows to flinch. This one leaves alive. The house shuddered. Somewhere, mirrors cracked in protest. But Zoe smiled. She had stayed for a reason. And now, she was ready to make the house obey.